going to be a game changer in that. So I'm excited to be here today. Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks for that. Now, next in the row is Miss Aparna. Miss Aparna, if possible, you can switch on your camera also and please introduce yourself.
Hi, this is Aparna. So I'm like a graduate from NIF Chennai. I'm a network design major. So as of now, like I'm just working on like projects that are like hand knit based. So yeah, that's pretty much about me.
Thank you. Next in the row is Miss Prasanna Jagatha. Ma'am, please take this opportunity of introducing yourself.
Uh, Good evening, all. This is Jagata. Like it is through Shyam sir, I got to know about this meeting. So I'm very new to this space. Uh, Being a fashion designer myself with almost like 20 years of experience, right now I'm very much focused on sustainable fashion. I run an online store which is dedicated for eco-friendly fashion clothing for women. So we are closely working with Shyam sir, and we are coming up with projects that can help women get trained in launching their own business and also upskill them in eco-friendly fashion production. So that's a little bit about me. Thank you for this wonderful
Thanks for
opportunity.
the introduction. Now, last but not the least is Mr. Saravanan. Mr. Saravanan, take the opportunity of introducing yourself. Thank you.
Hi, this is Sravanan. I am from Bangalore. I am Deputy General Manager. The main I am the dyeing expert. My full career it is around 21 years in dyeing field. Just I am eagerly waiting to discuss the sustainability, discussing in future how is going to be. Just waiting for that.
Thank you so much. I thought I'll put myself last in the row. So I think I also need to introduce myself. This is Salil Chawla, Director DFU Publications. We are one of the oldest serving trade B2B magazine within this space since 1989. We are Mumbai based, but we have a strong presence across all over India as well as across the globe, I would proudly say. We also have strong portals. One is fascinatingworld.com, which is our global web portal. Second is DFU Publications, which is set to inform and disseminate information around South Asia, particularly India and Bangladesh, and we are very well entrenched. We also have a daily e-newsletter which tends to update the professionals all across this space. And it is like the day it was last 24 hours, it's more like a news channel, within the space of textile and apparel. And lately we have set up a blog, by the name of easytext.co, which tends to capture the reports, all that, what all is the serious stuff, in terms of surveys and stuff like that. And also the I would say, authored articles. Many experts today, they want to wish to iterate in the industry. So this gives them the opportunity of sharing their insight and expertise with the industry. So it's a strong combination of online media, and we are trying to cover this industry, I would say, better than arguably anybody else. So this is what is my quick introduction. Now I would, before I start to the questions directly, I thought there is a need to set the context for today's webinar. I would say I'll take one, out of one ancient Indian literature, something called Prakruti Rakshati Rakshita. This is a Sanskrit hymn, which means that it translates to nature protects those who protect nature. So idea is to say that if we are not respecting the nature, then nature can show its strengths, it can always give us back. So this is what precisely is happening. I would say, that we have trampled nature which is something very, very unfortunate, And based on this principle itself, I would quickly pull out, one quote from Narendra Modi ji also. The Green Credit Initiative was announced by Honorable Prime Minister Modi ji, which symbolized a progressive and inclusive approach to environmental conservation. Again, on the same lines, what I took out of ancient history, that Prakriti, Rakshuti Rakshita. I'm sorry, being Sanskrit, a little twister, And beside that, I would say that sustainability is something very inherent to India. It is nothing new. Only thing is that unfortunately, in the new age, in the post industrialization of globe, we have lost the plot. But otherwise, India has always been a very, very sustainable land, wherein sustainability has been understood more like a frugality and lifestyle of one's living, rather than just a narrative, or just a kind of this just to as a lip service. So this initiative, proudly I would say, I am sure will bring together a variety of organizations and individuals to dialogue, ideate, and create actionable agenda on a variety of sustainability issues in the space of the textile industry. And I am sure in next half an hour or so, we'll discuss ways in which impactful actions on how the impact of sustainable textiles could be orchestrated at different levels to benefit not just a few but citizens of the world. And I'll end with saying that Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, because we care for the word. That's why, as a measured words, I have used that we can orchestrate at different levels to benefit not just a few but citizen of the whole world. Now I would get into the question answers, and I would throw it open, toss it to the entire panel. Anyone who thinks has the bandwidth, wants to share the insights and use their expertise, to enlighten this session, can take it. And it's not necessarily only one person, more than one person also can stake claim for the same. So I would start by asking, how does HimGra's zero water, zero fertilizer cultivation model contribute to addressing broader climate challenges in the textile industry? And again, to set a ground rule, any question, if the entire panel wants to kind of pass it, there is no such compulsion that we have to answer every single question. So anyone can take up this. I'll repeat the question. How does HimGra's zero water, zero fertilizer cultivation model contribute to addressing broader climate challenges in the textile industry of India?
So let me take the question first and introduce about the what is HimGra. So HimGra and how it evolved basically. So as I told, most of you aware that I am a textile professional and I worked in the industry for more than 30 years and I am being and brought up in Uttarakhand. So one fine morning when I was last assignment, I was in the Ludhiana and I got this in morning seen newspaper that Uttarakhand government looking for professionals to look after their handloom handicraft, and it's a home calling, so I joined them, leaving my job in the private sector. And during that time I visited those places again where I passed my childhood, and then I visited places, something has changed, but nothing more than the Ujjwala cylinders there in the homes. And in the hill, if you are going for a meeting to the local peoples or the women, you have to wait. This is tendency, and you must be patient to wait. And there is no digital, so there is no Facebook, no WhatsApp. You have to wait. And this is logical also, because when we see they ladies are mostly there because men have migrated for the jobs in the plain area, and either they are children's or the age old parents. So these women have to take care of their children's, their cattle, their field, and the aging parents. But one thing is there is quest for knowledge, quest for learning to do something. So they come. If you are waiting, will come. So during that time, I come across this plant basically. At this is the plant which I say, and that was thrown in the corner of the site. So being a textile professional, I look into this. I taken out this plant like this, analyze it, I see some fiber-like structure into it. So when the ladies come for the meeting, I ask them what they are doing with this. So they told that we take these leaves of the plant for the vegetable purpose. It's good in winter season, and throw this away. And this is a useless plant, grows anywhere in the land. Fine. So I come back, and being a textile, I research my network, scan them to get them, and finally we come out some fiber-like structure. We made some fiber and we presented that fiber at different levels, and got selected IIT Mandi Catalyst first, and there we got opportunity to test the fiber properties of this plant, and we come across that this is a hollow structure fiber. And when we see it as a hollow structure, it's great that being a physics student, that if it is hollow, it's had better insulation properties, better water holding capacities, and it's none of the natural fiber at present are having. So that's comfort better than the other natural fiber in the market available at this time. And being grown in the natural barren lands without food, fertilizer, pesticides or water, it's rain fed. So its carbon footprint is literally zero. And it is not competing with the food crops, because now everybody is looking for natural fibers, either bamboo, hemp, cotton, and all needs agricultural land to grow. So that is at the cost of the agricultural crops, because the lands is sinking because urbanization and population is increasing. So there is the fighting between agriculture and clothings. So that's this crop is not competing with the food crops, one thing. And then we have worked out, and we have done some research and come out award-winning waterless technology, because other natural fibers like hemp or linen needs water to get the fiber from the plant. Here we doesn't need any water to grow, so it's a completely waterless. No water is groundwater is used in this process to get the fiber. And with the fiber, we have developed the yarn in the natural spinning system. So it doesn't need to change any settings in the normal spinning system. We developed yarn in blending with the cotton or the Liva Reviva or the woolen yarn. So the three types of yarn available, that either HimGra cotton, HimGra wool or HimGra Liva Reviva. Liva Reviva is a recycled viscose yarn, and these can be dyed in the natural dyeing system. The dyes available in the market. So the fiber can be set in the normal spinning system, normal dyeing system, and the crops which is considered to be useless is a source of livelihood for the local people in the rural area of Uttarakhand, which are facing the effect of climate changes regularly in terms of the landslides or frequent weather change. And some of the D2C brands are taking these garments to their home through their e-com platform, and the brands like Arvind, Sahi, Vardhman, WSB have developed home furnishing item, textiles or denim out of it, and for the export market. So more than 40 brands have piloted with the HimGra. So the need of this session, why it is arises, that this session is for the people, those who are receiving end, that what we are talking about HimGra, how it is being different, how it set benchmark against the global system. And the no fertilizer, no chemicals means its environment footprint are zero and better than the linen also. So our startup is being shortlisted by GreenR, the Green Entrepreneurship, and they have assigned Jaipal South Asia to validate the environmental impact, and I love to share their report, which so I think the screen is visible.
Yes.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So in the report they have taken all the data of our data, and then the yarn we have sold, the fabric we have sold, and then they calculate with the standard systems to compare it with the linen fiber, linen fabric, linen yarn, and they come out with the report that these HimGra yarn and fabric have reduced about 1908 kg of carbon dioxide emissions in comparison to linen. So it has saved this much amount of CO2 emission to the environment. And with the operations Discrete UK is having for the HimGra, added only 697 kg of the carbon dioxide. So in net, it reduced 1211 kg of the carbon dioxide to the environment. So this is the scope 1 basically emissions, the direct emissions which is going to the market, going to the environment. And then the technical details they have submitted, how they calculated it, what are the different source of data, and they have also taken the emission of scope 3 emissions, because at present we are processing the HimGra for the fiber at different clusters, so transportation emissions are high in this case since volume is low, and we are looking for the more supply chain strengthening by setting the one processing plant so that this emission could be further reduced. So this is methodology they have given and explained how it is they come out with the figure of 1908, the technical, and that the GreenR is supported by the international partners, Jaipal South Asia and IK Foundations. So they have done the report. So what we told that not fertilizer or rain-fed plant, its impact is being better than the linen. So that the need of the industry, which industry is looking for at the right moment.
Thank you so much for all this, in a way decoding the entire initiative and the process methodology, and the core DNA around which this entire initiative is based at, I think Ms. Prerna had raised the hands. Have you to say something, ma'am?
Yes, Salilji, I was going to address your question. Thank you so much for that, Mr. Sharma. You've you've broken it down even more clearly and made it easier for me to, answer Salilji's question in terms of the metrics that I was looking to address. Um, since HimGra is the zero water, zero fertilizer part is very, very critical, because we need to bear in mind that only 0.4% of all the water available in the world is actually potable water, right? 70% of the earth may be water, but only 0.4% of that is potable. And 20% of water pollution comes from the textile industry. So if we are looking to most of our tap water, I mean, I'm living in Shimla, and 100% of tap water in Shimla is part of that 0.4% potable water. So that's the kind of water that we're talking about, and 20% of water pollution is coming from fabrics. So from textile production, if we are able to produce a fabric like HimGra, which is not taking up any more water, and is not adding to the pollution to our existing water bodies, I think we do have a breakthrough at hand, as far as the climate crisis is concerned. I also want to. There was one other thing that I wanted to add, and now I have forgotten. I'm sorry. When it comes back to me, I'll get back to you. It just slipped my mind. Sorry about that. But yeah, thank you.
So I would, as a follow-up to this whole thing, that I would second what Ms. Prerna said, that textile is the second largest polluter, only next to maybe, I think, oil industry. And unless or until, and this is out of the three cornerstones of life, roti, kapada or makan, it is inevitably we have to live with this industry. Only thing is that fashion has to be more mindful, and it has to be more ethically and responsibly made. It will continue to be a polluting industry. The mitigation of this doesn't look like imminent, anytime soon. But I have to say here, to arrest this itself would be, I think, a great order. This is what the entire globe is looking at it, that how to make textile more mindful and more conscious in terms of the resources it is consuming, the precious resources here. Now I'll move to quickly question number two, that
Salilji,
in
I just
terms
wanted
of
to
the
add,
yeah, yeah,
it
ma'am.
came
Please
back to
carry
me what
on.
I wanted to say earlier. Ecologists, climate scientists have been saying for a while now that the one way to actually go forward is to allow the natural ecology to take over. And since this is a naturally occurring plant, and it is not something that needs specific cultivation really, it's great for it's actually a great way to use that. And as Mr. Sharma mentioned, that they're actually using the waste to make the fabric. Well, that is actually one of the best things that we can do. Any waste that is any bio waste that is not being reused is over time contributes to greenhouse emissions as well. So in the process of biodegradation, which is something that we also need to be conscious of. So I think this is a great breakthrough on many fronts.
Thanks for the contribution. Before we move to next question, I have to welcome some new members have joined, So welcome aboard. Now I move to quickly question number two. It is pinpointedly is to Sharma ji only, because he comes from that background. What barriers do you see in scaling HimGra's low emission model, and how can they be addressed collaboratively by all the stakeholders? Because if there are road bumps, unless or until we overcome, surmount them, victory will not be imminent. Over to Sharma ji.
Yeah, so very nice, and it's daily bumps in the journey of startups we face. and we started in the early. And I'm fortunate enough that due to my networking, I got the easy trials with the industry, either with the Vardhaman or Arvind or the Valispan or the WFB. But after successful trials, when the fabric is good, marketing people say, oh, we can sell it out, it's a wonderful fabric. Linen people, when I have meeting with their boardrooms, with the technical team, they say, oh, this is better than linen and different feel than the linen. And when tested, we got it's a drape property which is better than the normal linen fabric. And when drape is better, so here my friends in the fashion designing say that it's good for the women dresses where drape is the fundamental requirement. So the linen, which is considered to be the men's fabric, could be for the both of genders fabric. And one beautiful thing that it is the hollow fiber properties, insulation properties of the fiber makes it all weather fabric. So the tag of summer fabric to the linen could be washed out. So linen peoples are very much interested in the fabric. But all do that when it comes to the scaling challenge, that what is the price ultimately at this point of time, due to low volume, high transportation cost, and the ethical sustainable model that we have bound ourselves, promise ourselves that we have to pay a lady which is coming this grass over her head at the roads which are not movable, and to the place where it is transportable, we have to pay them at least 1,000 rupees per day. That is our basic benchmark. They have to gain something, we have to, then we come across them, set the price for the market. So it's not that we call them, they have to sell in distress for 500 or 200 rupees for their plant. So we have set that benchmark, we have to pay them. And then the realization of fiber is about 40%. And the volume of processing and transportation cost is for the 100% of the fiber. And due to volume, you see this volume is for the about 100 gram of fibers, this volume. So that cost of the fibers makes it that present cost is higher than the linen. So when it is higher than the linen, then how we can sell it out? That's the basic challenge. And the brands who have done piloted with us have to struggling out then the volume. When I sat with the Valispan people in their office, they say, we need 5,000 kg, Mr. Sharma. When you are able to give, come to us. So that's the challenge. So we sit down with our teams, discuss it out, how it could be done, and chart out two-way strategies we have chart out. First way, that target the segment where discount is a bad word. So second, go for the volumes, for the scale up. So for the scale up, we are going for the grant, we are going for the CSR funding, because this HimGra cultivation is basically falls within the CSR categories. For that, we have doing a pilot cultivation this year, and I was there in last week, and we have already collected seeds. You can see the seeds of the plant, that these are the seeds of the plant. Fine. So once cultivation is there, then we do the ask our members who has done pilot to visit the plant, cultivation pilot, and then make the what Modi ji has told in the last Bharat tax, that farm to fashion. You have your own farm for traceability. You see your farm, you get your customer there to stay with the people who grow the plant. So what we are talking about, the no fertilizer, no pesticides, grown in self. So see yourself. One way. Second, to the people where discount is a bad word, to pitch this fabric to them and tell the story to get them there. And because it is a 18-month crops, and for 18 months we have to get that things right with the people who are that band, and then we do the ask our brand partner to visit and go for the scaling out the thing. So there is challenges, but we have to find out ways, because we are in the roads to get it done. There is no way, no back, no U-turn in the roads. Yeah.
Thanks for your answer, very convincing answer. I'll try to take a couple of cues out of it. One, you referred to the metric called costing to cost to performance, which is very important for any brand to see the feasibility. And time and again, you referred to the piloting with these brands. So I'll before I get into the realms of that, in the brand side of it and take the conversation to fashion brand, I think Ms. Madhumita has raised a hand, and she has something to contribute. Over to Ms. Madhumita.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much, sir, for actually explaining the challenges that are involved at the grassroots level, because I think it's very important, especially for people like me, to hear this and understand. And as you said, discount is an absolutely should be a bad word, because the fashion industry and the fashion customers have been spoiled by these cheap polyester fast fashion goods made at very, very low prices. And it not just affects the environment, but also affects the people who are making these clothes. And what you are doing right now is something that is commendable. And of course, it is something which is very groundbreaking, so it comes with its own set of challenges. However, I encourage you deeply to follow in this path of not accepting brands or entering into deals with brands which focus on discounts, which focus on cheap prices and cheap quality, because what you're doing here is luxury, and it is and it's a natural fiber growing with amongst natural resources with very, very minimal use of water. So I highly encourage to reach out to sustainable European brands, because as I said before, there's a lot of EU regulations based on sustainability. So there are some laws which govern sustainability these days, which have been put in place. So the brands, small or big, they have to follow these rules. They have to pay the right price. They have to pay the workers fairly, and they cannot be making irresponsible choices. So in that case, I highly recommend reaching out or partnering with European brands, because they are bound by these sustainability laws now. And also another point which I wanted to highlight is in that journey of collaborating with EU-based brands, it's also essential to adapt quickly to technology, because there is something called digital product passports, which are going to be put in place from, I think, 2025, 2026 onwards, which is going to give 100% traceability of product. Say, for example, there's a T-shirt that is made with HimGra fabric. There will be a QR code in the T-shirt, and any customer who buys this T-shirt will be able to scan the QR code and go back, not just where it is spun or where it is dyed or where it is finished, but also go back to see where this crop grows, and if it is grown under sustainable conditions, and if the workers are paid fairly, and you can read about the communities and so on and so forth. So it's a wonderful initiative, and for that the data needs to be put in place, and we need to adapt faster to technology. And today we have a lot of open source technologies which really help with this, and I can also do my best in connecting you with people who are pioneering in this. But big congratulations again, and I'm very excited for your journey. Thank you.
made a couple of very relevant points. One, when she says that the underpinning the value over the price part of it, that increasingly the conscious customer or consumer is becoming sustainability conscious, and the regulation also is pushing them in that direction, because as it is in marketing, there is a term called pull or push. Pull is when the consumer starts to ask for it, then the entire value chain has to align to the interests of what she wants, the consumer wants. Push is when it is shoved on it. Though as of now, that pull is not that strong, otherwise, the entire value chain would have become sustainable, that goes without saying. But since it has been shoved on us, as she rightly said, by 26 or 27, most of these global, especially from Europe, which is at the front line of it, all the regulations will come into being. One or two, she said that carbon passport or something like CBAN is there, which relates to some of the products, that, and they are vocally being started calling in the direction of greenwashing, that those who are making false claims without the proper evidences attached to their marketing or to their production or to their manufacturing processes and techniques, and she also made another one or two good points, that traceability and the transparency would become important. So this is all it comes to, that unless or until we do not really respond to, because now regulatory side calling is there. If we don't really go by that, will be irrelevant. If not today, maybe by tomorrow, the customer will start to reject us, So this is one. And before I ask next question, Miss Prasanna had raised a hand, I request her to chip in, she can
Thank
contribute.
you, sir. This was just a little doubt that I had in mind. First of all, it's a wonderful project that Sharmaji just explained, the grass from the Himalayas, how it's being used, and it's very, a thing that has to be appreciated. And because we are working closely with farmers here, and we are taking up projects which is close to, agro based, like textiles that can be derived from wastes, agro wastes. So I would like to know, this 18-month cycle, is it like the grass uprooted or it can be regrown?
Yeah, so very nicely that you have come into the cultivation part. So it is a perennial plant. So first after seeding, first plant, it grows after 18 months to cut it out to take the fiber out of it. After that, every 6 months, it come again grows and we can take it out again the fiber
Okay,
out of
and
it.
may I know how long the cycle could go? If I could.
So traditionally it goes up to 6 years. We
Okay.
not to need to seed the seed, but for the balancing the environment, we are taking this cultivation plant, so that when we are cutting a plant, we grow the plant also to maintain the ecosystem in the hill area. It's not that we cut the plant then again it's 6 months there is no plant. So we are
Oh,
doing this for the one way for the cultivation. Second, to give them the more livelihood options for the local people,
okay.
because as present the volume, as these people say, is the volume brands that we need 5,000 tons or 10,000 tons, so they come and see that it is growing.
Okay.
Since it is a forest produce right now, and forest department allowed for the locals to take it out for their livelihood purpose, but the barren lands is more in the hill area. About 40% land in the hill area are the barren land. So trying to cultivate it there, and the one panchayats having very much lands at their disposal. And in the hill area, agriculture is very difficult. First, it is the depend upon the rain god, then the wild animals, right?
Okay. Got
So
it.
due to that, but the ladies having the field, they have to go with that, do something, something may emerge out of it. So for them, it is a better plant to grow in that area, and because since it is a wild, it doesn't affected by the that wild animals threats. One way. Second, for the certification part, which is Prerna and Madhu Mita has emphasized, to do the certification and the yield study and certification and soil sequestering part of that, we are going for the cultivation part. That is the reason we are doing cultivation for that. And other thing also, like she told, the west part. So our aim is to get the 100% utilization of the plant, and the projects we are submitting with the various parts of the various agencies, that we aim to use byproduct of the plant also, because some medicinal properties has to be tested of the plant, because it is coming from the Himalayas where plants having some medicinal benefits. Then how we do some ancillary part of the industry, part of the system, so that the stems of that is very fluffy of it. So we are going to make some non-wovens out of it, or some face packs. So these studies are in the part of the project we are submitting. So this fourth year for Discrete UK is the reset years. We are resetting ourselves for the cultivation part, scaling strategies, and less focusing on the sales which are coming in the way they come out. So that is the thing. And I have to share that the last time that Dr. Visakha Karnad has told that one student has done PhD out of it for making the felt out of it. So the 40% of the fiber which I have discussed earlier, when we make making it to the blending with the fiber, other fibers to make the yarn out of it, 15-20% again wasted out. So that 20% we take it out and then make the felt out of it. It's non-woven felt which he has developed, and we are going to submit it in the National Technical Textile Mission to get that things ahead. So ultimately aim is to use everything of the plant, so making it a zero waste project. That's the way we are going ahead.
Thank you
Thanks for the detailed answer.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. So next question is that how can the fashion industry, particularly luxury brands, align their goals with HimGra's sustainable model to promote low impact materials? So maybe Sharma ji can start, because he is again at the center of it, and someone who wants to, within this given space, wants to contribute. Welcome. Thank you.
Yeah, I think this question better answered by some fashion designers, and by virtue of that, and I'm in the field. So I got into it and seen that the last fashion shows and the fashion icons, because fashion is the biggest, those who influencing the people, the films, the film actors and film festivals. And sorry to say that there is nobody is talking about the sustainability in the fashion field and film field. So we need to look on those peoples and convince them reach that target, because that has to, if the trends are designed by the Madhubala or Saira Banu or the Alia Bhatt, then the trend of sustainable fashion to be equally defined by them, that it grows out. Because one way is the commercial, one way is the follow the icons, or the Mahendra Dhoni's haircut when goes in the viral, or the Rahul Gandhi, sometimes Rajiv Gandhi's shawl is making an icon, or VP Singh's cap is the icon for the youth. So that is the trend we need to cultivate, and going to hit that segment to flow that habits of sustainability to down to the line to the normal people. That is a challenge, and that is a challenge, really challenge. So we are on that path, and we are looking forward to get that segment into our fold, that to see that okay, this is the thing, this is the grass which is growing for the at the area which is facing the maximum effect of the climate changes at that time. So that is our region, and we are going for that. If that happens, that is the great. So that then the one way that commercial thing that Ms Prerna and Masmita saying that the regulations doing this and that. Second is the icons are setting the trends in the market. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much. Now I have to ask a question, the regulatory side to Shyamji, because he comes, I think he represents Andhra Pradesh. Yesterday, if I'm not mistaken, during his introduction, he made it explicitly known to us. So, Shyamji, as per you, we were talking about the EU side in terms of the regulatory landscape there, it will start to kick in 26 onwards. Maybe by 2030, most of this regulation will come into being also. So, how are we placed in terms of, are we along the curve or India behind the curve in terms of the regulatory side of sustainability, so that we don't run out of jobs or our exporters, they don't run out of job. When EU being our largest, especially for apparel, EU is the largest in that, market, if I'm not mistaken. So please throw light on it. Over to Shyamji.
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity. Am I audible, please?
Yeah, very much.
Yeah.
Yes,
Uh,
Shyamji.
yeah. So, thank you for the opportunity and good evening, all the members present over here. We are, in terms of regulatory mechanism, we are far behind most of the developed countries. There are two reasons for it. One is when world is moving away from fast fashion, India is picking up in fast fashion now. This is a paradox right now we are into. Suddenly you see many retailers who are focusing on fast fashion. I don't want to take any names, but instead of we going back to our roots, because I always tell that we as a society were very, very conscious consumers, maybe 50, 60 years back. We have forgotten all those things and we are now reinventing the wheel, and just because somebody else sitting abroad is telling us to they are pointing us and telling, look, you have to adopt these things. But India has been always in forefront of sustainability. It has been always in forefront of recycle, reuse, or upcycle, or you name any word which is now being heard in this. It is there. But is it really being used in the manufacturing process or in the other process? Not really much, because exporters are doing it. People who are manufacturing for exports, they are following the system. But I'm sure coming 2 to 3 years, there is going to be a lot of changes. And I have also seen recently the government also putting a lot of effort in encouraging consumers to be a little conscious about what they are buying and what they are consuming. I'm sure we are going to be in that league in couple of years. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much for your this. I'll quickly like to take a cue out of it, the debate between fast and slow fashion. You very rightly said, I will not say fast fashion is reached at the tail end, the end game, but definitely it has been questioned. The very point of sustainability now echoing around the globe, and a lot of initiatives through COP XYZ, in the direction of sustainability, only going in the direction of making a question mark, putting a question mark against the fast fashion, and pushing slow fashion. I like to just demystify the concept of quickly slow fashion. Slow fashion is where there is durability, mindfulness of using, the consciousness of ethical buying, ethical manufacturing, responsible business, ethical selling, and more consciousness towards the sustainable raw materials and the consumption, including till the post-consumer part of it, base part of it, which fashion is the again largest, which it dumps to landfills and all that. So I would like to now give the chance to Miss Suruchi. I think she comes from the fashion side of it. If she can throw some light on it, if she wants to participate in this fast to slow fashion, I invite you, ma'am.
No, thank you, Salil. I'm actually part of the audience, but thank you for giving this opportunity. I actually lead this knowledge series with Creative Dignity, which is an ecosystem enabler in the craft sector. And I lead the knowledge series, which is called Craft X Climate. And, we've been discussing the issues that you're talking about, which I am still trying to figure out what is the preparedness for something like traceability or digital product passport for especially textile manufacturers, which are medium scale or small scale within the craft sector, because there's so much experimentation going on, and the level of preparedness is something that we are also still discussing internally. So yeah, some of the insights are helpful. And Prerna, would you like to, since you mentioned digital product passport, I kind of missed, what was said. So I'm just throwing it open that is this something that even small manufacturers are talking about? I did hear Shyamji say that, we'll get there in a span of 3 years. But yeah, I'm just trying to understand if I missed any point here.
So Madhu Mita was talking about how digital passports are becoming like a thing in Europe. But in India too, there are people who are doing digital passports. They're basically doing RFID tags and QR codes that you can scan to find out more about the garment. They are also linking it to post-consumer, to what happens post-consumer. So once you're done wearing a garment, through that QR code, you can get back in touch with the manufacturer. And they are using it to actually establish circularity, where they give you 3 options. One is to resell, one is to send it in for upcycling, and one is where you send it back to the producer, the garment manufacturer, for them to reuse it in some way in another garment, or reconstruct it some way. So they are offering these three things at the moment. It is still very, very nascent. As far as I know, there are only about 4 or 5 homegrown brands that have adopted it so far. Even those brands are not openly talking about it, because I think it's still very, very experimental. So, I mean, I haven't seen that I know of it because I've been in touch with these people who are making the QR codes, the tags, and helping the brands, put in the technology. But the brands themselves have not really talked about it anywhere. So I'm not
Anybody in
sure.
particular, Prerna, that you would like to state?
Yeah, so let me add, Suruchi.
We will avoid the inter-discussion, in the respect of the time. I'm really sorry.
Sure.
I need to now invite Ms. Sarvana. He has not been given enough opportunity. Sarvana ji, if you have anything to contribute here on this fast versus slow fashion. I hope he is not logged out. Sarvana ji, if you are there. Otherwise, Ms. Madhu Mita, I'll wait for a sec. Over to Ms. Madhu Mita.
Thank you, Salinji. Talking about, I just wanted to cover 2 things. One is the digital product passports, again, giving more information on that, and slow versus fast fashion. Sometimes it can be a little bit of misjudgment when we think that consumers in Europe and the West in general, they are probably more aware of the climate crisis, but I wouldn't say that they are making responsible choices either, because if we look at the reports, Shein, which is one of the biggest China-based fast fashion companies, they have been outdoing H&M and Zara and other fast fashion companies, especially when it comes to Gen Z. So the latest, the youngest generation, who should actually be the most fearful of climate change and act with climate urgency are the ones who are purchasing the most. So I wouldn't say that awareness is necessarily leading to responsible purchases. I also think that sometimes people need to be incentivized as well for buying responsibly. Especially in India, we have a booming middle class, which has never been seen before. Like 20, 30 years ago, people did not have the opportunity to buy so many clothes, and we cannot blame these people because they also want to look good. In our country, especially, like wearing good clothes, that is emblematic of status, so it is tied into it. So I think people have to be also incentivized for buying responsibly. So what brands can do is also like offer free repairing services, or take like buybacks or things like that, which a lot of Scandinavian brands are also doing. So we have to come up with creative ways to give such incentives to people. And talking about slow fashion or luxury for that matter, again, sometimes it could be a misjudgment that just because luxury products are expensive and produce less, they produce responsibly. That is also not true, because recently there was a massive scandal involving Dior and Armani in Europe for employing subcontractors that had migrant workers, and they were employed in very, very despicable, bad conditions. So the luxury brands are also chasing profits, and I think the luxury industry as a whole needs to change, needs to relook at and shift focus from profit to sustainability, because they have the power, they have the money, and they have the privilege also to be able to make such conscious decisions. So this conversation needs to be taken forward, and I'm very glad that all over the world people are actually calling out these French and Italian luxury brands, which are kind of like they close their eyes to these kind of things because they're focused on profit making. Again, when it comes to the fashion industry, not just fast fashion but also luxury fashion these days, the trend cycles, we don't need these many trend cycles. We don't need new clothes, new trends appearing once every 2 weeks. I think that is a very, very unsustainable model. So I think that also is something that needs to be taken into account. So yeah, that's all I had to say. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. I think Sharma ji has something to say.
Oh, finally, it's so good that your camera is working. That nice to
Yeah,
see.
yeah. Thankfully, my son has just come back, so Generation Next has helped me navigate this.
Yeah. So yeah, basically, I wanted to point out that the when we're talking about digital passports, and that is only terminology change, because I have worked in the industry for last 30 years, that every point things has been maintained in the record books, that this fiber comes from this area or this field, then here this is processed and last year it goes. So digitization is all those things, but only thing how much you are honest when you are talking to your customer, that is what is missing in our Indian buyers or Indian sellers. That is the only thing. Other digital passport is in name change. Every data is there. Only a simple QR code can be generated with the data you are having. That SAP is doing the same thing. We are having now. SAP are there. Every data input there. They can generate the code. So traceability, that is nothing new. That is the old thing in new bottles. One thing. Second thing, we have incorporate end of cycles, which I have forget to not added earlier, end of cycle approach into our HimGra also. So the one that is the Dev UK Foundation, which is our not-for-profit trust of the ladies, which is taking care of this cultivation part and capacity and collecting of HimGra. So that QR codes which is there is on the garment. So when a brand is saying that end of cycle, this I don't want to use it is further, so they have chance to send their garment back to us, and these ladies repurpose their garment to the new garment, which can be sold there, and they have first right to take it out if they want to take it. Or some designers who are working with us, they make some DIY, do it yourself. So this is your garment, You love it, you don't want to leave it because normal people love it. This is the garment I have purchased by on these occasions. So do it yourself, make yourself you want to do, or we will do it for you and you take it back. If both options are you don't want, then we can sell it out. So our Dev UK foundations are looking on that models. We have devised that model, the end of cycle. So it is growing to end of cycle. Full approach is included in our systems. That's my take.
Thank you so much for chipping in. Now, my next question goes to Shyamji. Shyamji, I need to ask you that in terms of the carbon footprint, the fashion brands they generate, in terms of the logistic part, because what I understand being in this space since last 36 years, textile supply chains are A, they are global, B, they are very long, C, there is something called reverse logistics. I'll try to explain reverse logistics. It's like that, cotton is primarily grown, more of it in Asian parts, consumed in US. The designs come from there, most of the buyers, and the textile is consumed in the Western Hemisphere, So, and it is unfortunate that the entire supply chains are now being built around the cost consciousness on that metric part. If Sri Lanka can make XYZ very cheap, Bangladesh can make ABC garment very cheap, nobody minds, even if they know, all talk about sustainability. Most of these brands, also global brands, they have pledged by 2030, 27, 2035, they'll go 100% net zero, which all looks like utopian. I'm sorry to say, given the reality of the world, unless the global supply chains, they realign, the fragmentation happens, and we get into the absolutely new order. So, Shyamji, over to you.
Yeah, as far as the carbon footprint is concerned, this is an issue which mostly European players are seriously thinking about. And as you rightly mentioned, the supply chain model is going to change. They want the facilities to be nearer the consumer. They are bringing it closer to the consumer. So what is going to happen is there is going to be a shift in terms of where it is being manufactured, how close it is being manufactured to the actual consumer. And what would happen is basically the kind of jobs people have lost because of industrialization or automation. See, there is a shift which is happening. Now, when we are talking about sustainable, manufacturing practices or sustainable logistics per se, everything has to be measured in terms of the carbon, because it is being measured in carbon footprint. So what is going to happen is the fashion may not be the raw material, but the finished good part would be manufactured nearer to the retail point or at the consumption part. This is number one. Number two, the carbon footprint, they are offsetting. Some people are offsetting by using renewable energy. There are many options given to the brand or the fashion label, where they are now utilizing those options and making the entire, see, ultimately what is happening is every part of the process is being mapped, and it is being mapped in terms of the carbon usage. So what is going to happen is emission. Sorry. So what is going to happen is more or less there is going to be a little discipline. Maybe 2 to 3 years down the line, where what power, what is the energy we use, what kind of transport we use, how we deal with the workers, how do we deal with the manufacturing process. All these things will be streamlined, and it would help the environment. See, all the reason why we are here today is we have to make sure that we produce keeping in mind the carbon footprint, and we have to make sure how we can do it. Is an ecosystem. Everybody has to play their own part in this process, and this is more on collaborative model. It cannot be like I give you order, I have an order of 1 lakh pieces, I give you, and you manufacture it and ship it to me. So I don't have anything to do with your manufacturing process. It's not that way. So both the see, entire supply chain is now being tracked, and this is good for the world on the whole. Thank you.
Thank you so much for the answer. I'll invite Ms. Madhumita. She being a global citizen and she represents global brand, If you have anything else to contribute here.
I thank you, sir, for giving me the opportunity. I agree with Shyam, sir, especially when he said that it has to be a collaborative effort. Because even yesterday, I was talking to one of my acquaintances who is a sustainability expert based in the UK, and honestly, what is happening right now in the EU is that the EU. The regulations that they have put in place are, as you said, quite utopian, and we don't have, even European brands are not ready to catch up with these things, because as surprising as it may seem, even the fashion industry in Europe is extremely archaic. Be it the supply chain or even the way we work within the industry, it's very, very, very old fashioned. People are using Excels, we pick up the phone, we talk. The information is not aligned in one place. It's extremely siloed, and in an industry which spans several stakeholders across several countries and continents like ours, it's very important to have this information in one place. And even with the advancement of technology, we still don't even have that basics covered in Europe as well. I want to emphasize on that. So a lot of European brands have been, so what I was talking to the sustainability expert was about this exact thing. She was telling me that she has been receiving calls from suppliers, especially from Bangladesh, India, South Asia in general, saying that European brands have been arm twisting these suppliers, saying that, okay, we have all these regulations in place, now we need all this information, and they don't want to take any responsibility. So I want to really highlight that this has to be a very, very collaborative effort. European brands and American brands have always arm twisted suppliers, and that is one of the biggest reasons why we are in this situation right now, that they do not take the responsibility, and unfortunately they're also not the ones suffering the most from climate crisis. So I think it is very important to push back these brands when they make such unreasonable demands. And today we have so many forums like Fashion for Goods, like so many fashion activists and organizations. So I think it's very, very essential to call these brands out if you feel that you're being arm twisted or demanded unreasonably, because this has to be a collaborative effort. This has to come from both sides, especially from the brands. So that's what I want to say, and thank you once again.
Thanks for the contribution. Since time is racing fast, in the respect of time, I'll quickly like to ask one or two quick questions. One, if anyone wants to cite any case study or drop in some concrete names, tangible names that both from the global stage as well as from Indian, those who have stuck their neck out and are truly sustainable brands, or their initiative is laudable. Very quickly, anyone can contribute.
I can drop some Swedish brands in the chat. Actually, they are doing. They're being quite reasonable and not focusing on just marketing sustainability and greenwashing people, but they're actually taking some efforts. So I can drop in some names in the chat box. In the chat.
And I
Prerna ji, you have
can
some
do the
point to
same.
make?
Yeah, I can do the same for Indian brands. So, so yeah, there are quite a few, and yeah, I'll drop them in the chat box as well.
And another thing is, it is said that sustainability is a load, you know. Most of the people manufacture the entire supply chain thinks that sustainability, though it's not a rocket science, everybody knows that it is doable. But they say that given the quote unquote the constraint of price pressure, especially post corona, you know, the market has become more like bipolarized, you know. One end is premiumization, which continues to skyrocket. Despite of global challenging environment today, the overarching theme is globally across the sector premiumization. That means add value, make, build brand, you know, price will not be a factor. But then it is only icing on the cake. It is the top of the pyramid, I have to say, the only vertex part of it. But at the bottom lies that the biggest chunk, so-called mass segment part of it, you know. Here, unless or until the sustainability percolates to this, I don't think sustainability will do its part. So, because if masses are not buying it, obviously, then again I used the word that it will be utopian to think that sustainability becomes a buzz, you know. So over here, at the bottom of the pyramid, where sustainability is surely some cost, you know, how to do away with both as a mindset, because mind is not accepting. At the same time, customer also has to shell out a little extra to show the willingness that look, there is some premium, I don't mind for one, you know, to buy it, you know. And at the same time, I would say not the high handed side of the regulatory side, because when I said that push, I generally mean shoved on the industry or on the supply chain, which can only take you thus far, because anything voluntarily done, it yields results, you know. So that means sustainability has to resonate. There has to be changed paradigm of consumer buying, you know. And at the same time, there have to be enabling environment. So this is how anyone wants to react it. Otherwise, we can. I'll take another 1 minute to wrap up this session.
I
Is it
just have
okay,
one thing
Sharma
to
ji?
say. Yes.
Very nice saying.
Yes.
Please.
Salji, I just want to this, the only thing that I would say is that we need to build an ecosystem. What has happened is that we have with cheaper clothing, with so much of polyester everywhere, and with clothing having become disposable, you know, we've created this mindset which was earlier not there, that, you know, we need to buy more, we need more. None of us have grown up like that. We haven't grown up thinking that, oh, we need more clothing, we need more clothing. It was always, what is it that you need? Okay, you've outgrown your shoes, fine, we'll buy a new pair of shoes, you know. So it was always a replacement for something that you need, and it was indeed a necessity. Like you said in the beginning, roti, kapra or makan. The same thing is happening even when we talk about makan, which is that people are no longer satisfied with one. We've got one here, we need one here, we can have one more. The entire thing of, you know, house flipping and all of that. So we've just, it's become a mindset. And I think what we really need is an ecosystem shift. The masses will only move towards that. It's easy to say that the masses need to move towards that, but we also need to be mindful of the fact that that is actually the top 1% that is responsible for most of the consumption. So, and this is just has become a very convenient ruse to say that, you know, if there are no fast fashion brands, what are the poorer people supposed to buy? But those are not the people who are buying, you know, Zara or H&M or Shein. those are the people who are buying export surplus, which would otherwise go into landfill. So they're actually doing us a greater service than, than a disservice. So I think it's an entire ecosystem shift that is really required if we have to, move towards sustainability. We can't look at one player or another player. Brands, of course, need to be more mindful about what they are consuming, and if that's what's available to us, we will also eventually start looking at better stuff.
Yeah, you rightly so told. Our system is more sustainable. That polyester comes out and invaded it is the second thing. But we are more sustainable and rightly told that two pairs, it is need based, not the occasion based. I have two or four. So, and it is also good you told that the volume comes fine and that those people are not buying much. It's correct. And they are recycling, and we are from the families, and most of us they recycle till it ends out at the home, rather than buying new person. And so suppose we talk to father, they don't want to buy anything. No, I have enough. So it's a nice discussion with everyone. Yeah, you want to add, Salilji, something?
Yes, I want to invite Aparna ji. I think she is intermittently coming and going back. She has not contributed. May I request her if she has anything to say, so that she also gets the ample opportunity to represent herself. Aparna ji, if you are there, you can contribute anything in the given direction. I'm sorry. In the absence of any this, I'll quickly take 1 or 2 minutes to wrap up. As per me, the entire the talks, the conversation around sustainability is valid. Sustainability is a buzz. It is no more a compulsion, no more a choice. It is, I would say, norm. Sooner we embrace it, better it is, because as it has been said that once, because already time bomb is ticking. By 2027, between 2027 to 2030, time window is shrinking. Lot of regulations will come into being. If we are not recognizing it, it's like closing our eyes. It does not mean that fact will not exist. Fact is there. Better we, with open eye, we accept it. That sustainability is a demand. It is like a hygiene factor. And let's build whatever costing processes, techniques, systems go into it, gracefully. And second is, I would say that I have to say here that all kudos and compliment to Sharma ji for picking up this such a great initiative. Especially I would say serpentity. I read a word called serpentity in the dictionary, which is more like, if I'm not mistaken, Wikipedia media describes it as an accidental discovery. So he said while he was going from place A to B, on the way he came across this Himalaya grass, and he has now given it absolute life and has made it a sustainable fiber which will yield to fabric and will tomorrow transform, the entire fashion world. I think there cannot be anything bigger contribution than this, especially given that he hails from, it's like Himalaya calling, he hails from that area. Proud of it, of you, sir. Thank you so much. And thank you once again for all the opportunity accorded to me. I'm absolutely pleased to be a part of it.
Thank you, Salilji,
Thank,
for your kind words and
thank you, sir.
conducting the session. If somebody wants to add, they are welcome.
I think I request every one of the panelists. We had to make this as a regular practice, and at least once in a week we should connect with each other and see how we take the HimGra brand forward, because that is more important. And we are working on many product diversification on that. So I'm sure everybody's experience will help us in fast tracking HimGra story. That's my request to all the panelists. Thank you.
Sharmaji, over to you to
Absolutely.
close this, and anything, Ms. Madhu Mita, then let Sharmaji close this session and let's sign off.
Absolutely, I agree. Let's keep the conversation going. And I think this is something that we can all come together. This is a great cause, and let's keep the ball rolling. And I'm here to help and learn in every way possible. And thank you so much for today. Very, very glad to be a part of this.
So thank you everyone, and this HimGra Saturday for you, basically for you world is the important. So it's ongoing process. We have conducted some session earlier, and this session is for the regarding the impact score. But I have learned so much in this session, and online it is generally happens that. But the persons, the people who are here and joined that despite their commitments, have contributed lot of the things, and I am thankful to you all who has taken their time to contribute this, and particularly to Mr. Salil Chawla. Despite his engagements, he's readily agreed to conduct the session and beautifully conducted the session, given time to everyone. And more on the session is the next session we are conducting to unveil the fabrics which has been shortlisted by one of the Italian trend book. We unveil those fabrics in one of the HimGra Saturday for you session. Very soon we announce that, and then we are coming out one of the session for the HimGra Luxury Style Show, where we are coming to the budding designers, inculcating this sustainability which are discussing in this session to their mind to design these garments with the less waste, and that rightly pointed out by one of the panelists that the 3 week session change or trends change things, or the designs that can be wear the number of weight times, number of types, that things we are inculcating them. And thank you everyone. With that, if anyone wants to add, they add or connect me, and everyone having my numbers, or I can put in the chat box. And the Discade 2K is for the collaboration basically. We are not going, and that is the mool mantra for us, and we are collaborating everywhere the way we can do to grow with each other. And happy to say that during this journey of 4 years, we have 4 startups going with the Discade UK, working in different areas. So we are here to support everyone, getting support from them. So it is give and take for things for HimGra we have. So thank you everyone.
Can I take just a minute? Yeah. So that was exactly what even I was having in my mind to ask. 2 things. Maybe we can hold on to the answers of this for the next session. One thing is, I am also into coaching. We are helping women launch their own fashion brands. How can we be supportive for HimGra and to collaborate, and how to help upcoming brands, focus on sustainable fabrics, and coming up with the modules to train them. I want suggestions and inputs from the panelists here, which we could imbibe into the coaching program and help the people who enroll with us to collaborate. That's a request.
Oh, that's a good thing you have pointed out, and this is case by case, basically learning each other strengths and limitations, and what are the common things for both of them where they can agree to take it forward, and we are very quite open to do the things.
Sure.
So whenever you have time, we can connect and discuss it out how we can do.
Sure. Do that. Thank you.
Thank you so much. God bless us all. And I think
you so
great
much.
meeting and good Sunday to everybody.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you.
See you again in next
You.
meeting.
Yeah.
See you.
Okay.